Rusla stands in the darkness before dawn. She has her back against the longhouse. She can see her breath in the crisp morning air. The light breeze is cold against her skin. She holds her bow with an arrow ready. She's waiting. She rode for 2 days all the way from Salptefjord in Halagerland with almost no sleep or food. After arriving in Trondheim, it didn't take long for her to find out where he lives. It's common knowledge. She also found out that he should be home. Unfortunately, she knows they will remember the strange 16-year-old girl with red hair wearing men's clothing and carrying weapons. She received many displeased looks from both men and women. It's extremely frowned upon for women to wear men's clothing or carry weapons. She told them her name is Hild, but in time, it won't be hard for them to figure out who she really is. She is Rusla, Jarl Rauth's daughter, and she has come to kill a man. The wall she stands against is the short wall at the end of the house. The door is situated on the long side. Through that door, men will soon emerge to relieve themselves. There is an outhouse that stands about 30 feet away. They will either walk to the outhouse or relieve themselves right there outside. Either way, she is ready. She says a prayer to Skadi, the huntress with a bow. Skadi went to the gods, demanding compensation from them for killing her father. The gods were impressed with her boldness, and they made her one of them. The rightful Jarls of Halagerland were once kings, descended from Odin and Skadi. Rusla feels a special connection with Skadi and now understands the pain and anger she must have felt. 9 days ago, Rusla grips her shield in one hand, her sword in the other. She's facing Sigurd, her foster brother, who is equally armed. She attacks, hacking and jabbing at him, swinging her shield at his face. He backs away, evading, parrying when he can, overwhelmed by the ferocity of her attack. They fight beneath a red-gold sky, on a green field that lies between the main house and the woods. She feints a sword jab at his face, causing him to raise his shield before she pulls the blow and goes low, swatting his upper thigh with the dull wooden sword. He grunts and counters, swinging his sword down at her. She parries the blow, knocking it away with her shield. They back away from each other. That's the rule. Once the sword makes contact, you separate before resuming the fight. He wears a frown, frustrated. She can't help but smile. Sigurd is 1 year older than her. He is Ingvar's son, but Rusla's father is fostering him, strengthening the bond between the two men. But Rusla and Sigurd have formed their own bond, one that is strong as steel. Daughter, she hears her father Rauth call to her. He stands a short distance away, a big smile on his red-bearded face. Give him a rest. He laughs. Rusla clacks wooden swords with Sigurd. Until next time, she tells him. She drops her sword and shield and goes to her father. He greets her with a hug. They set out toward the fjord. You're damn good with that sword. She shrugs. That's just practice. It's not a real fight. But you can beat every one of these young men, can't you? He looks at her, waiting for a confident response. Yes, she says. She doesn't bother pointing out that although she can beat them, sometimes they beat her. He wants her to be both confident and the best. He smiles. You'll do well in a real fight, believe that. Her father leads her to a place on the shore that slopes up, then levels out. There's a stone about knee-high, flat on top, perfect for sitting on. Rusla knows this place well. This is where her mother would often come. Her mother would sit on the stone and stare out at the fjord. She died from an illness when Rusla was 7 years old. I've been having dreams, her father says. Dreams? She asks. Yes, he says. Dreams of a troll woman covered in blood riding a wolf. Rusla is familiar with the law. She knows what it means when the Fylgja, one's guardian spirit, appears in such a way. It's a warning of one's own death. It's just a dream, she says. Rusla. He puts a hand on her shoulder. This dream has come to me 3 nights in a row. She shakes her head dismissively, but she's becoming worried, a chill running through her, skin prickling. If I were to die, you're not going to die. She doesn't want to hear this. If I were to die, he continues, I want you to have my ship and go to Ireland as we have planned. He expects too much of me, she thinks. Women do not captain ships. They do not lead men at sea or in battle. In the old days there were warrior women, some even leading men into battles. Such a woman was Rusla, who she is named after. Nowadays women warriors are rare, and the power and influence of a woman does not extend beyond her family and home. Rusla is bound to be a warrior, that much she knows without a doubt. But to lead men? You can, her father says, sensing her doubt. You can do anything, but you must believe in yourself. She's not going to argue with him about this. There's no reason he's not going to die. All right, she says. You will go to Ireland and find your brother, he tells her. Her brother Radar left for Ireland 5 years earlier, and they have not heard word of him since. Personally, she doesn't care about finding her brother. They never liked each other. She just wants to go to Ireland for the adventure. There's something else, he tells her. Something I left in Ireland. Her father raided in Ireland. It was before she was born. He rarely speaks of it. The memory is a wound that never healed. The Irish defeated them in battle, leaving few survivors. Now listen, he tells her. I'm going to tell you how to find it. What is it? She asks. Well, do you remember the story I told you when you were a little girl? He told her a lot of stories, but she knows the one. Of course, she says. How could I ever forget? Next day, her father left for Trondheim Fjord to pick up supplies for their journey. 4 days later, Rusla is in the woods alone, practicing with sword and shield. She hears shouting and the voices of many men. It sounds as if it's coming from the shore. Rusla runs to the edge of the woods, where it opens up into a field that stretches down to the water. She can see a ship pulled up on the shore. It's Sigdrifa, her father's ship. She runs to the ship. Something is wrong. She feels it. There's a crowd of men near the ship, gathered together, looking at something. Rusla makes her way through the crowd, men moving out of her way, a terrible feeling growing, and then she sees him. Her father is laid out on the ground, eyes closed, a long gash on the top of his head, caked with dry blood. Rusla can also see a wound to his chest. His wife Sigrid is on her knees, crying over his body. Rusla stands frozen, shocked, staring down at her father's dead body. We were on our way back, a man is saying. Just as we came out of the fjord, we were attacked by 2 ships. Why? A man asks. They wanted the ship, I guess. We fought them off, another man says. Rusla lifts her eyes from her father's corpse, finally able to speak, to do something. Tell me who did this, she demands, looking at the men. Guthroth, a man tells her, King Harold's son. Rusla pushes her way through the crowd and she runs to get her bow. As dawn breaks, a cock crows somewhere in the distance. Rusla tries to focus on her breathing, trying to calm herself. She hears the door open, startling her. Rusla peeks around the corner and sees a man walking to the outhouse. She can only see him from behind, but she knows it's not him. She has seen Guthroth at the marketplace in Trondheim. He is older, tall, with long blonde hair, and he has also seen her. King Harold had never approved of her father being a Jarl, but he only tolerated him because the king's power is not as strong so far north. Maybe the king had encouraged his son to do this. She hears the man come from the outhouse and go back into the hall. She waits. Rusla isn't sure what she will do if he doesn't show. The light of dawn is growing. Finally, the door opens again. She hears footsteps and peeks around the corner to see a man walking toward the outhouse. It's him. She comes out from around the corner, bow raised, arrow nocked, and draws. Guthroth, she calls to him. He turns, and as soon as she sees his face, her arrow flies, striking him in the throat. He stumbles back, one hand to his throat, the other held out as if to stop her. She immediately pulls another arrow from the quiver on her back as she walks toward him. Nock, draw, loose. The second arrow strikes him in the right side of his chest. He falls on his back, and she continues forward until she is standing over him. She pulls and knocks another arrow. His eyes are wide, looking up at her as he makes a gagging sound, blood flowing from his mouth. You killed my father, she tells him. She draws back the bowstring and aims down at his heart. She releases.